ni Tech na Msangi ya jishinde.com.
Welcome to day 6 of 30 days of AL, and today we are going to look at partial record because when I was learning SQL, my tutor always highlighted the importance of using avoiding the use of select star while querying. Select star from, because here you are not explicit, especially for tables with many fields. You load so many fields that, and others you find that most of them are not needed in your update or your read that you want to fetch. But using such a query and only displaying 2 or 3 fields is not helpful, and that's how Business Central saw the importance of introducing the partial records capability, and it will enable us to load a subset of normal fields instead of all the fields. Remember, you should only use these fields in especially when you want to read. If there is a delete, an update, or you want to use the transfer fields, the renames, you want to rename the primary key. Remember, these other functionalities, they require all the fields to be loaded. So partial records should be used with a lot of keenness. So to implement partial records, you use the SetLoadFields. So it's a record.setLoadFields. Like here you have customer.setLoadFields, and it will override. If I set this, it will override the above SetLoadFields that we have just set with the new field that will input here. We also have another method for customer.addLoadFields. So here the addLoadFields can be used in the scenario of, let me say, something like a report or an OData page, on open page on pre-data item before you load the record. Remember, so you have specified maybe 3 or 4 columns in a report, but you need to add some fields to be loaded using partial record. So by default, when you use an API page or a report, they automatically load only the fields that you have specified in that report, and they make use of partial records by default. That's why reports are very good when we're doing processing only. Okay, let's try and see, is this really giving us the speed that we expect, having partial records? Okay, so let me just do a small test here. I've used the SetLoadFields to only load the contact here for the customer, and I'm trying to load the name on this other side. So I'll just run this and see if there is any impact that we are getting from using the SetLoadFields. So let's try and see. Okay, so here in our normal 30 days of AL, I have a function known as partial records that will trigger this day 6, and here we are. So the debugger is on, so I want to see the database statistics so that you can see the queries as they are being loaded. So I'll try and open several of these queries, and we try to monitor the time that it takes when there is a SetLoad field and when there isn't a SetLoad field. So let's go forward and find set here. When we now run the find set, we expect to have had a load in the customer, and here it is. So we have a load with the primary key, which is the customer, and the contacts. You see, this contact is part of the subset that has been loaded. We have a shipping agent, country origin code, tax area code. I believe these ones are needed in terms they are needed to supplement this primary key, but ideally we have our contact and the subset is small. You can even see the query, select blah blah blah, and the system. Okay, this system ID, system created at, system created by, system modified at will by default be loaded from Okay, even if you specify the set load fields, because you might need them at any time, and the binary key will also be specified. So it has taken us 5 milliseconds to load. Let me try and do next. Let me see how long the .next takes. It's still 5 milliseconds because you have seen the number of queries change. Let's go to the next one that we have no limitation in terms of what we are trying to load. So we have everything here in the next query or the next find. There is no set load fields, and you can see there is a difference here. We have all these fields being loaded at once. Okay, the time taken is still 5 milliseconds. Let's just move forward with it. Boom. Okay, we are still loading most of these fields. Is still taking 5 milliseconds. So not much big impact in terms of what we have seen here. Okay, what if this table has a table extension? Remember, for you to have a table extension, you need to have an inner join for this particular customer table. Let's add a table extension for the customer table and add another field and see the reaction with our set load fields. So right at the end of the page, we just need to have a table extension for 51 or 1, I guess. My extension, let me say 5110. I don't know. I hope it's open. My extension, or let me say CST ext extends the customer table, and the field that we'll add will be, let me say, my contacts. Let's add 30 days of AL here. Field, let me say, my contacts. Supposed to be a table field. I don't know how I'm using this. So 50, 110 again, and then my contacts. Whatever the easiest way is 30 days of the L, and then it will be a text. So by creating a table extension, we have told the system by default creates another separate table that will be handled by the table extension. By default, what a table extension does, it creates another separate table. I will search day 6 here and try and load the table extension. The field is what? My goodness. My contact. Okay, it's 30 days of the L. Days of L. So we want to display the same field. So let's try and see if there's a difference or a variance compared to the first load when we have added a table extension to this customer. Okay, the package has been created and it has gone. And again, with more processing and more data, you might be able to see a difference with partial records. There we are again. We open the database statistics and see the last executed queries. We expect the customer to be somewhere around here. Then we will now move forward, set load fields, and then get the contact. There we are. So, okay, this is now interesting. The approximate duration when you have set load fields is 1 millisecond. Okay, when you do the next and load again, okay, what is the other approximate? It's still 1 millisecond. Okay, this is in the second record. We are having 1 millisecond in terms of the duration. Let's move forward with the continue and now try and see the difference when we are loading all the fields, because this is the initial query with the subset of the fields. So let's try and see. What are we getting here? We are getting a whopping 10 milliseconds just to load the fields, because we now should be having an inner join. Where is it? To join the other table. Okay, this is even too big for us to see an inner join. Okay, so the query is big and it's also not even visible. So with the SetLoadFields, we are getting a 1 millisecond to load the field and get our contact. But without it, because this table now has an extension, we are getting 10 milliseconds. Can you imagine a difference of 10 milliseconds per record? So if you are doing a big subset of processing, or you're doing a batch processing, 10 milliseconds per record or 9 milliseconds per record difference is a huge amount of, in terms of time and in terms of performance. So we should embrace and try and use the partial records when we need to read, especially when we need to read, because if you need to update again, this partial record won't be the best to use if you need to update one thing here, because you now have to do an implicit get. It's like saying it will do an implicit like I've set these load fields here. Okay, one scenario is if you want to do an update. The other one is, for instance, if I say okay, I can still append the name to be, let me stop the name again. Let me try to make it customer.name. So this is a record that is not found in the other, it is not found here, it has not been loaded. So we want to do a just-in-time loading because we have not loaded the field. So we want to see the impact of having this load here. Okay, so this is like a deprivation of the performance. The other problem would be to have an insert, maybe customer.insert, for instance, or the transfer fields here in between. This one needs all the records to be loaded. So at this point, we expect an implicit get to be used, or an implicit just-in-time load that will have to get the record of this customer name. Let's try and see if there's a variance for this and see the difference in terms of performance, if any. There we are. I will view my 30 days of AL. I go for partial records and I expect them to be here. I open my database statistics, expand them, and move. Okay, we still have our 1 millisecond as at that point, but when we move forward, okay, let us see what happens. So we have increased it to 3 milliseconds just by the fact that we have this implicit get for this name. The time has already changed, this duration. So you're increasing, you are having a bottleneck in your performance just by having this record. And now when I move to the next, the time has even increased to 7 milliseconds, and I can see I have all the records. It's no longer a set load field. Okay, it's no longer a subset or a partial record load. It's everything that is in this table. So we are now loading all the fields instead of the one that we just wanted to load. So let me move forward again. Let's move forward to the next. We see we have already reduced the speed just by having a field here that is not set here in the set load field. So whenever you want to use a partial record, make sure that all the fields that need to be read have been set here in the set load fields. I can also do a continue and see the way we don't have a big variance in this other query compared with this the first one that doesn't have set load fields. Okay, in our statistics, how many milliseconds is it taking to load? Boom. It is even faster, 4 milliseconds. Okay, let's see. It's doing a 4 milliseconds. Okay, there are many factors that affect the speed, maybe the machine, but you can see that now this query is even slower because of this particular inner join, because we have a load for the partial and now we do another implicit load and we ignore this initial load, and it takes more time for us because we are giving the system even more, we are like even depreciating the resources of the system even more. So I believe partial records should be used, but used with keenness. Remember, we have a great power here in given a set, when given the power to just load a specific subset of fields, but with great power comes great responsibility, which we should make sure that we use them appropriately. So thank you for watching this video. If you have gotten up to this place, I hope you have been able to implement partial records in your own way and seen the benefit, or if not, maybe you can try it out, and the more you have a big data set, the more you'll see the benefit of partial records. So thank you for watching this video. You can fill a feedback form for the things that you like to learn in AL, and for that I will see you in day 7 of 30 days of AL. See you there.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss the next one.